I thought we'd start with a head and neck exercise. It's really good to do this before you meditate. It will help your eyesight, your hearing. It's not just going to help you go into meditation, but it really does help your eyesight and your hearing. So we take our head down to our chest 3 times. 1, back up to center. 2, 3. Then you're going to go all the way back and back to center 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Then go to your right shoulder 3 times. 1, 2, 3. To your left shoulder 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to roll all the way around 3 times. So drop your head to your chest and then go to your right 3 times all the way around. 1. Back up to center. 2. 3. Now to your left 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Now you want to breathe in through your right nostril and out through your mouth 3 times. So breathe in through your right nostril and out through your mouth. 2. 'Now you're going to breathe in through your left nostril and out through your right. 1. 'Now we're going to do a chant, and it's a call and response. I sing a line, and then you repeat it. And it's just a simple message, and it's just get us in touch to that love that's inside of us that we want to be coming out all the time. We want to give and help this planet, not be part of the problem. God is love, live in love. Becomes what you truly are. Become what you truly are. The embodiment of love, divine love. God is love, live in love. Become what you truly are. The embodiment of love, divine love. There is none but God. In everything we see, let the light in all shine out through all, shine. There is none but God. There is in everything we see. Let the light in all shine out through all. God is love, live in love. Become what you truly are. The embodiment of love, divine love. God is love, live in love. Become what you truly are. Become the embodiment of love, divine love. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a soul. Like mine, like mine. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see, I see. God is love, live in love. Become what you truly are. The embodiment of love, divine love. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a soul. like mine, like mine. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see, I see. God is love, live in love. Become what you truly are. The embodiment of love, divine love. God is love, live in love. Become what you truly are. The embodiment of love, divine love.
Sometimes people ask, why does Unity of Boulder so emphasize meditation? Because if we taught nothing else, we would be teaching the most important thing there is to do in life, especially in life in our Western culture. What has happened to us is that we became involved in object consciousness so totally and so completely that we have no recourse toward the consciousness divine to become divinely human. And you know, in the 91st Psalm, it refers to the secret place of the Most High. And in that place, everything is made all right. Everything is healed. And all fear is dissolved in the secret place of the Most High. And that's just another reference to universal consciousness, sometimes referred to as space consciousness. And that space consciousness is derived through meditation. It means what the ego has been involved in incessantly is relaxed. So that ego consciousness, which is about things, so many things, always in that material awareness and thinking that somehow or other that object consciousness is what we are because we were born and raised in it, educated in it to believe that you can make your way through this objective consciousness or object consciousness, and by whatever means you are beguiled into believing, you will be able to set up conditions and circumstances where you will be free in object consciousness. Some people think money will do it, education, power, popularity, prestige, whatever. But the truth of the matter is that can never, ever happen for anybody. I think if you have any awareness of the news, and you shouldn't have too much awareness of it because it's practically meaningless. But if you have some awareness of it, you're aware of the fact that people that seem to have everything are not really at peace with themselves. And they don't know how to be happy. They don't know how to be free. And I've met people on that level, very, very wealthy people that aren't free. To be free, we must balance our lives. We don't completely reject object consciousness, but we have to balance it with universal awareness or space consciousness. Because when we have opened up and found that beautiful secret place of the Most High, we realize there is a place in consciousness that we can enter where we feel joy and we feel good and we feel peace and we feel fulfilled. And we recognize that it's not contingent upon anything in the world. That it's not contingent upon any objects in the world. Any situation, conditions, circumstances, relationships, it's not contingent upon any of that. Anybody can enter that beautiful secret place of the Most High. It doesn't matter if you're just a farmer who's scratching out a living somewhere, or an entrepreneur who's working great things in architecture or doing something with finances or business. It doesn't matter what level of consciousness in the object world you're on. It is possible to practice the presence by entering the secret place through spiritual practice. Now, without that, people's lives are totally out of balance. It is the reason why people go to pieces, why they take to alcohol, to excess, and to drugs, and then to conflict and emotions, and they can't hold anything together. It's because they have not entered into that more refined awareness of soul, where their soul resides. They're living where their conscious mind resides. And their conscious mind is ego-driven by virtue of the programming it receives from our early infancy all the way on through the object-oriented life. So you see, that is why meditation is absolutely critical for happiness. It's critical to find that divine awareness where you become free. Listen to what you become free of. Listen to it. In Buddhism, they say it very clearly. You become free of wanting anything to be otherwise. You become free of wanting anything to be otherwise. So that feeling that comes with egocentric consciousness of being driven to get something done, to fulfill something, finish something, get something more, that feeling of being almost harassed to do what that limited consciousness wants us to do is gone when you enter that more refined place of being and you're in your eternal soul consciousness. And it's out of that eternal soul consciousness that we have those insights and intuitions that help us move effectively in object consciousness, so that we're not driven in that object consciousness. We're not hurried. We're not forced. We're not operating from fear or lack, because we still have that, we have brought in that divine awareness, and we operate completely in that. We remember that when we need to. When things become out of sorts, and there's a lot of conflict and consternation, and people are fighting, and things are not going well, we can withdraw. With enough practice, that is. We can withdraw to the secret place of the Most High. And strangely enough, when we do that within ourselves, it has an effect on everybody else around us. Not a complete and total effect, but it does bring more peace to conditions and circumstances and people. Someday, with enough practice, one can realize how to heal others, regardless of where they happen to be in object consciousness, how frustrated, how driven, how fearful. It is possible to be so filled with the majesty and the miracle and the peace of the divine awareness, soul consciousness. It is possible to get to that space so completely and totally that no one in your vicinity No one in your presence can continue to hold to a negative feeling and emotion. Now, this is true healing. This is spiritual healing. There's a lot of people gaming that whole idea of spiritual healing. They haven't got a clue about it because they themselves are not aware enough to bring about what healing really is. Healing is bringing the consciousness of wholeness into the awareness of another. But first of all, it has to be something one is capable of doing to oneself, to bring your awareness into wholeness, this divine space of being. And there are books written by certain healers who were capable of doing amazing things on the level of healing. Phineas Quimby, who wrote the Quimby manuscripts, who actually was the father of Christian Science, and it got all changed by Mary Baker Eddy because she had studied with, or at least worked for, or worked around Phineas Quimby and saw what he did. What Phineas Quimby would do is somebody who was feeling sick would come to him and he would talk them out of their sickness. They would sit down and talk to him, and some of these people that became masters of consciousness, you could not stand in the presence of Joel Goldsmith. You couldn't stand in his presence and be sick. You could walk away from him and get sick again, but you couldn't walk into his presence. So it was a beautiful place to be for him because nobody ever complained to him. He so believed in the wholeness and the healing and the soul consciousness so that the body is no longer dictating anything. So in his presence, his body is not dictating anything, and you can't bring your body in to dictate what you're saying about limitation and about the disease that you think you may be going through. And these are not the only ones. There have been some rare people down through the centuries who have so connected, fully connected, that they were true healers. And it's not like so many of the people that want to pretend to be true healers, and they're trying to bring people who are seeking into the idea of materialism. They're trying to propagate an idea that if you somehow or other get involved with divine consciousness or enlightenment consciousness, you're going to make the world fulfill your every personal desire in the object world. But you see, that's not ever going to work. It doesn't matter how much, they say set your intention. It's a good thing to set your intention for something you want to accomplish. Don't become possessed with the whole idea that if you keep setting your intentions, eventually every intention will be met by the conditions and circumstances around you. That's just a false approach to reality. Reality is this divine awareness that is being in the consciousness of soul awareness of where you can go, withdraw, and feel this beautiful peace and joy, but it has nothing to do with making the world do your bidding. It has to do with the world can't move you to frustration or anxiety or fear or consternation, and eventually it will not be able to move you toward disease, which is simply an outpicturing of, fear-driven consciousness. So that's why Unity in Boulder especially is intent upon helping people and supporting people in their spiritual journey to the spiritual practice called meditation. That's a very meaningful thing. So when people start the practice of meditation, they say, oh, I don't know, I can't sit still that long, or I'm a very busy person, or I have too many things going on in my house. When we had when our children were just toddlers, Norma and I meditated. We had a special meditation room. Sometimes we would take turns and watch the children or make sure the children were involved in something while the other person was in meditation. But sometimes one of the children would escape and come into the meditation room where you're sitting with your eyes closed, and they lift up your eyelids and look in. So you have to make provisions for that. So if you do have young children hanging around, they will get into everything and try to figure out what it is you're up to. But let me try to express to you how object consciousness, there's nothing wrong with it when it is in balance with a mind that has found its reality in soul consciousness. In other words, attempting to left brain your way through the changing tides and circumstances of ego-centered consciousness is precarious at best and usually results in really difficult conditions and frustration. But when you're operating from, and you've entered into and know of your true self, or the higher self as we refer to it, then you're no longer driven, pushed, forced, and made afraid. You simply operate in the object consciousness, and you operate much better because you're not operating out of desperation. So this has been a commercial for meditation tonight. I suspect that everybody here is meditating, and coming here is a very good thing, because meditating with people that are meditating is also a way to enhance your experience in meditation. But here's what I say to people who are just getting involved in the practice of meditation. You may have some strange experiences while you're trying to meditate. You may become, you may feel yourself getting dizzy, a vertigo type thing taking place. Or you may feel yourself feeling contraction, tremendous contraction, the opposite of what you want to feel when you're practicing meditation. The thing is, you're trying too hard. It means you're trying through the volition of your will to enter into the sacred place of consciousness. Whenever that's happening in the practice of meditation, just drop whatever meditation technique you're using and give yourself permission to relax. And you can do it this way. Just say, it's okay to be just sitting here doing nothing. It's okay to be just, or sometimes if you're lying down, doing nothing. Some people lie down in meditation, that's fine. But you've got to be very careful not to go to sleep, because what happens when you do that, you go below the level of thought. And while it may be very relaxing, you see, for you, because now you've given up all the concerns of the day and the object consciousness, you've given that up to some degree. And so you're resting and you're going, but when you're doing that, you're going below the level of thought. Whereas meditation brings you above the level of thought. That's why in a Zen monastery, if you're practicing the Zen practice. They have a guy that walks around with a stick, and when he sees anybody nod off, he gives you a good rap with the stick, because you're going below the level of thought. And by the way, there's lots of ways that people do that. You can do it by the intake of alcohol. Taking too much alcohol in, yes, you say, well, I feel relaxed. And some people say after a hard day's work, I need to relax. And so they imbibe and they take, alcohol into their system. But what they're doing is they are relaxing and they are becoming more present, but they're becoming relaxed in below the level of thought. They're receptive to negative input. And the same thing goes for the ongoing biggest pastime of human beings in the Western culture, which is television. Now, you can watch television and you say, well, I get relaxed. I come home, I had a busy day. When I come home and I watch television, I just feel relaxed. I just chill. That's the word we use, we chill. But when you chill in front of television, while you are becoming more present because you're watching this show and it has your complete attention, and you no longer are thinking about yourself, and you're no longer involved in objective pursuing. So you say, well, isn't that okay to be relaxing? Well, it's kind of okay to relax a little bit like that. But what is happening when you're below the level of thought and you're wide open watching television, you're taking in all this limited consciousness. So you're relaxing from a day of, ego-centered pursuits. But what's happening is you're taking in a lot of limitation. Now, it's okay to watch television if every now and then you're awake enough to look away from the screen and know that you're still merely an objective observer of television. Just do that every now and then. Look away and say, okay, I'm still alive, I'm aware, I'm awake. I haven't been drawn into the plot of this movie so totally that I'm freaking out. I'm simply watching it from that perspective. So you do have to really give yourself a breakaway. Now, they say that a person who lives 60 years in this culture has spent 15 years watching television. And it's just counter to our journey to happiness. The world and life can be a great teacher if we're willing to be awake in this higher awareness so that we're not taken in by addictions. Television can become an addiction, drugs, alcohol, an addiction. And what seems to be, it's just just take a drink or two or have a beer, that seems to be one thing, but after a while, it's 2 beers or 4 drinks, and finally, you're no longer present enough to know what's going on. So it is to be aware and awake, and then you will be able to be in that space where, and not only that, but your objective consciousness. This is an interesting thing when I talk about healing. You being in that place of the Most High allows everything around you to be lifted up, raised up in consciousness. Believe it or not, your plants will do better if you are a meditator. Your dog will be friendlier. Your fish will be spry. And they will never die. Your fish will never die. You can stop feeding them. You can stop cleaning the aquarium as long as you're meditating. So some people have fished for 300 years. But it does bring life into everything around you, because that is life. That divine essential awareness. And it makes you feel joy. Believe me, carry on your day and you know the secret place of the Most High. That is after you've practiced a while. And that it's there whenever you want to just pause and enter it. It makes life so beautiful. And that's where happiness comes from. You're no longer a victim of the changing tides and circumstances. What usually people do is they have a little mantra or something. When a particular situation or person or condition comes about in your experience and you say it upsets you, it's not the condition or the situation or the person that upsets you. It's your state of being that is creating upset. You could use something like, say, this too will pass away. So if you're a true master and a yogi in your own way, practicing the presence, the meditation, you can say to things that are happening, okay, this is happening and I'm not going to be freaked out by it. It also will pass away because everything in the world is passing. It's always moving and changing. So if you're going to wait through it, you can move into that quiet space and just let it be. As long as there's no attack within your emotions, you are free. So all kinds of people can come into your experience and situations can come into your experience, but they can't send you into negative emotions because you're divinely aware. You have been in the presence of God enough to know that you can return and be in the presence of God in any moment, in any place. This is the truth that makes us free. It is not in a lot of the strange New Age stuff. They're trying to sell you about mind over matter. Just be aware that mastery is about mind, but it is about entering into your soul awareness, and that your mind becomes the servant of spirit in all things. Okay, well, we're going to do that tonight. We're going to practice our meditation. And we have these beautiful Tibetan bowls calibrated to the 7 chakras of the mind expression, which brings about the body awareness. So if you just let yourself go and allow this divine energy to move in you, you're already becoming okay with the moment. You're already beginning to practice the now. You're already letting go of the incessant thinking of trying to get something done, trying to finish something. Forget about finishing anything. Just be sitting here and being okay with the beauty and the majesty of divine awareness. All right, so if you don't have a particular meditation technique, and you can use this idea. From the one in all, the all-in-one, the voice, the prompting voice of truth, offers this mantra: I am in you. You are in me. I am the truth that makes you free. I am in you. You are in me. I am the awareness that makes you free. in this refined level of awareness, let us offer the names of those that have been submitted to our prayer list. If you know the person whose name is called, you can see that person healed physically, mentally, spiritually, just residing in the true consciousness of peace and love. If you don't know the person whose name is called, merely see the name surrounded in light.
Hope Petrie, Mike S., Jeannie Russell, Helen Smith, Carrie and Billy Smith, Kenny Denst, Sean Henry, Elena W. Zachary, Siona, Rebecca Roberts, James Wales, Jim Dunkley, Jennifer Workman, Margot, Robin, Sandy, Judy Harper, Josh Cullison, Shay, Anita, Sarah Ashke, Kate Beltrami, Gail Wagner, Steve Taylor, Claire Walter, Eli Tuttle, Ed and Dory, Michael Kayla, Robert, Callie, April, Kaylin, Tyler, Brittany Dietz, Deborah V, Steve V, Abby, Aretha, Brandon Baker, Paul, Pam, Greg, Bob, Peter, Frank Granada, Sage, Anea, Saren, Regina, Louis Jordan, Siona, Sean Healy, Mira Morrison, Doug, Jean, Terry, David, Harry, Judith, Regina, Jean H., Doug F., Del Bigtree and family, G. A. B. Cat, Robert David Edmonds, David, Ruth Sachnoth, Cindy Jacobson, Shane McWhorter, Hope, Lydia Johnson, Pat Johnson, Redeemer. And if you would like to call out a name, you can do so at this time. Pray for the air, the water, the earth, our United States government. We see this healing light surrounding the prayer box and all the people whose names have been submitted throughout the month. We see them healed physically, mentally, and spiritually.
Let us feel the interconnected awareness, this higher awareness, influencing everyone sharing this Boulder community with us. helping them awaken and find happiness and peace, love and truth. And this awakening taking place in the mind and consciousness of everyone in the state of Colorado. More ideas motivated by love, compassion, and peace. And this refined level of consciousness, awakening in everyone sharing these United States with us. And this beautiful inspiration occurring in the consciousness of everyone on every continent in the world. And this affecting all the creatures on earth. To find that beautiful relationship with human beings that is free of fear, exploitation, and death. Entering this new heaven and new earth awareness. Purifying the air and the oceans and the rivers and the lakes. Purifying the consciousness of everything that is created. We enter into the pristine majesty of the divine earth. And as we do this, let us pray. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And God is love. True love. To this we say,